What is good, everybody? Welcome to the Film Bros Podcast, episode number 11. We made it past number 10, DJ. If you're just listening to the audio, DJ's looking at the camera. Why are you dressed up today, DJ?
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
It's that time of year. We got a new Matrix movie.
The fourth one.
We got a reboot of a classic movie. But before we get to that, thank you guys for listening this year. I mean, it's going to be probably the last episode of 2020.
That's it.
2021.
2021.
I got the year mixed up.
Yeah.
But
you're a year behind.
You know, we made it. I'm glad we got to do this. I'm glad we started now.
Yeah.
We will have our top 10 movies of the year probably as the next episode. Probably come out a couple days after New Year's. We're shooting this right before I fly back home for Christmas. So I just want to say thank you guys for listening. Thank you to DJ for joining me on this journey.
Thank you guys for joining us.
It's been a good time.
Thank you for letting me.
And we want to be able to interact with you guys a little bit more. A couple of you leave some comments on YouTube every once in a while. Keep commenting. Appreciate that. But we want to be able to talk about you guys when you talk about us on the podcast. So if you leave a 5-star review or a 4-star or a 3-star, whatever, on iTunes, you know, we'll read it out on the podcast. So right here, we got Joe the B.
Joe the B.
The host of this show is not only one of the best talkers I've ever heard, but he's unbelievably handsome. I can actually hear how handsome he is when I listen to the podcast. Honestly, he's too good at talking. This was almost too entertaining for me. I listened 6 times. This was written a year ago, before we even had this podcast.
Okay.
Because this used to be my old podcast, Hanging with Azarian, which, I would like to say, only had 10 episodes. And this is episode 11 of the Film Bros Podcast. So, DJ, thank you for...
Of course, I'm a little taken back by that comment.
Why not? Why?
They could hear the handsome?
You can't hear the handsome?
I see the handsome, but I didn't know that you could hear it.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of acquiring, you know?
Okay, all right. Okay.
I think it's that time that we dive into the movies and TV show.
Yeah.
We're talking about our first TV show today as well.
Yeah.
So stick around for Hawkeye. There's timestamps down below if you just want to hear us talk about Hawkeye. But for now, DJ.
Yeah.
Back to the Matrix.
Back to the Matrix.
As they say in the trailer, The Matrix Resurrections. This is the 4th film from the Wachowski sisters. Actually, no, it's just one of them directing this one. So I lied. They made The Matrix, which is obviously...
I thought it was Wachowski brothers.
They became sisters, DJ.
Yeah, because they're transgender.
Yeah,
but I thought they were still labeled as brothers.
No, they're sisters now.
Oh, okay.
That's the point of, you know... transition.
I thought they went from sister to brother.
DJ, we made 11 episodes. We can't get canceled now.
No, not. It's just genuine confusion.
Yeah.
I thought they went...
They are now the Wachowski sisters.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hey,
but one of them, Lana, I believe, is the one that directed this one. So she just said, fuck her sister. She's just not on this project, I guess.
Oh.
I don't think there's any beef. I just think one of them wanted to come and do a 4th Matrix movie for some reason. Because the other one was probably like, hey, maybe we shouldn't make another Matrix movie. Because the original Matrix, I mean, we could get your thoughts in a sec, but I think is a great movie. It deserves its spot as one of the most iconic action movies ever made, and just movies in general. It's got really cool lore. Not like one of my all-time favorites, but a really great movie. And a lot of people defend 2 and 3. Not really my style. But what did you think of the first 3 Matrix movies?
The first 3 Matrix movies were... I didn't like the third one. Third one is absolutely terrible. I actually really like the second one. The second one...
A lot of people do.
I'm actually finding a lot of people like the first one better than the second one. I think it's vice versa. I think the second one's better than the first one.
Really?
Yeah. Because the action and everything. Just there's so much... more action to it, and it is over the top, but I don't know, it just works. But the first one, I get it. It's a lot more grounded. It's a lot more giving you exposition into this world that at the time when it came out, everyone was like, what the hell? So I totally get it. The third one is god awful,
not
terrible.
Good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen 2 and 3 though since I was like probably 13, so it's been a long time for me.
But you've rewatched the first one.
I rewatched the first one since, and I think the first one's great.
Okay.
But yeah. So maybe I would like 2 more. Don't think I would like 3 more, but you never know.
No.
So they announced they're making Matrix 4. I'm always going to be skeptical when you announce the 4th one. For anything. It just never works out. Pirates of the Caribbean 4 comes to mind. Terrible movie. Like, the first 3 are, like, fun for what they are, and they're a good time, I think. 4th one, trash. Then you have Transformers 4. Is one of the worst blockbusters ever made.
That is...
Some would say, who cares? The first three were bad. I'm guilty pleasure. If
Dark Side of the Moon.
No. Age of Extinction, the dinosaur
Age of Extinction, which to this day I don't think I've seen.
Good for you.
Yeah, because I was told it was terrible.
It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Okay.
Terrible. But I like the first three Transformers movies. I'll be on the record of saying it. That's my guilty pleasure action movie franchise.
Toy Story 4.
Not bad. I liked it more when I saw it in theater, and then as I sat with it, I was like, yeah, it's not as good. But it's solid.
Okay.
But, again, doesn't need to exist. They were fine as three movies.
Mm-hmm.
Godfather 4 will probably be next, and we'll see what happens with that.
Okay. John Wick 4.
Yeah, but it's like they didn't wait 20 years to make the fourth one, you know?
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, yeah, I'm still skeptical, but at least they're keeping with it. And John Wick is a franchise, like, it didn't really wrap up with 3, so it's like, okay. I just have an issue when a franchise wraps up.
And then they revisit it.
For no reason.
And it gets resurrected.
Exactly.
One would say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I was cautiously optimistic with Matrix just because of how crazy the world is. And all I really wanted from this movie was like some really awesome 2021 Matrix action. Mm-hmm. Because the Matrix changed the game.
Yeah.
For all action movies.
Yeah.
It's still really well done if you go back and watch them. It might be a little dated, but it's still really cool.
Yeah.
So I want to see how they would do that in the modern day. And they do some stuff in this movie. Mm-hmm. So before I put my thoughts out there, I'll let you tell your thoughts.
You want me to tell my thoughts first?
And I'll just say me and DJ do pretty good at not sharing our opinions on a movie before we hop on here because we want to get the raw reaction. We couldn't hold it for this one.
Yeah, no. This one was bursting with emotion. And so, I really liked it.
Yeah, you did, right?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
That's not what you told me.
What'd I tell you?
Not that. Yeah.
No, I really liked it a lot. Mm-hmm. I fucking loved it. I think the pacing of the movie and the way that they just world build and expand.
Right.
I like, this shit is crazy. Mm-hmm. It's crazy how you could fuck up something so goddamn simple. How you got 1, 2, and 3. I would rather watch 3 than watch this.
3 is much better.
There was so much talking in this goddamn movie. I almost fell asleep like 3 times. They should have left this shit to die. It was just so much talk. I mean, they're talking about the same thing. Trinity. We gotta save Trinity. We gotta save Trinity. Save Trinity then. You got me turning a little. Like, hold on. All right, let me. I'm sorry.
No, keep letting it go.
No. I apologize. I'm a Smith. Mm-hmm. Smiths they're casual.
Are they? Because the Smith in this movie is a terrible actor.
The Smith in this movie is fucking god. Oh, he's not even Smith.
He's not Hugo Weaving.
Morpheus isn't even Morpheus. We get like an in-game, low budget. We couldn't afford Lawrence Fishburne, so we got what's his name?
He's got a crazy name.
Mardab Abdul.
It's like literally like 4 words or something.
It's crazy.
I'll look it up out of respect.
They got him. You do that, and I'm gonna keep on going. And then you got old ass Neo, fucking Keanu Reeves. The fighting is so stiff. They're just and then he has these force blasts.
Can I pause your force blast for a second? Can I pause your force blast for a second? The name is Yahya Abdul-Mateen II.
Say that one more time. I didn't hear you.
I actually think it's pronounced yeah. Yeah.
Nigga's name is Yeah.
Yeah, Abdul-Mateen II. Motherfucker, that's his name right there. You tell me his name's not yet?
No, that's Yahya.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Abdul-Mateen good actor. Just what
Great
the fuck
actor.
is that name?
Great actor. Yeah, yeah.
Good actor.
Every time I say it now, I think of. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't.
Yeah.
All right.
This movie sucks.
Yeah, it was just bad.
It's
yeah.
This is one of the worst movies of the year, in my opinion. And let me just preface this. I had an awakening like a week ago. I said, you know what? One of my goals for 2022 is to just be a little bit more optimistic. You know? I think a lot of people think when I talk shit on a movie, it's like me talking shit on them. And I want to love movies. I want to love every movie I see. This is what my life has become. I am obsessed with the craft of filmmaking. I love celebrating good movies, good filmmakers. And I think it's right to criticize when things should be criticized. I'm not one of these people that says we should love everything, because I think that's a little toxic positivity. I think we need to address when a studio puts out stuff like The Matrix Resurrections, and we shouldn't be willing to accept this. This is one of the most insultingly just wastes of time I've ever sat through. And the reason I'm this mad at it is because it tries and pulls off this thing where they let you know, hey, we're meta.
Yeah.
And meta could work sometimes. But I feel like 9 times out of 10, when people try and be meta, it never works. So this is a spoiler podcast. So if you haven't seen the movie, don't watch it. Just listen to us talk about it. So Keanu Reeves is basically a game developer in this movie. And the Matrix trilogy exists as a video game he created, even though the scenes in the video game are the scenes just from the movies.
Ish. You have it somewhat correct.
Is it ish, though? Because they're playing the scenes
but the thing,
in the real world, the Matrix world.
Yeah, so he dies, right? And then the program, or the AI, they're like, we have to reboot him. So they resurrect him. Hashtag resurrection. Or,
Yeah.
So they resurrect him. And they resurrect Trinity because they have this bond where it's like, oh, Trinity, my heart, oh my God, we need Trinity and him.
And that powers a city.
And the power of love is fucking, that shit strikes. And so they resurrect him, but they basically reboot the system, and they have him in the system as still a hacker, but he made Matrix 1, 2, and 3. That's like the cover-up. Instead of, oh, you're Neo, you're actually a game developer, and these lingering memories you have of your past life, that was just the game that you created. So that was the cover-up that they were trying to put over him, so that way he wouldn't regain his memories.
Right.
Yeah.
Still, dumb. Because a huge portion of the first act of the movie is them being like, Warner Brothers is forcing us to make Matrix 4.
They got real meta, man.
They're like, we have no ideas. Let's bring in a table.
Like, they know.
And they
knew.
But to me, just because you're acknowledging that your movie shouldn't exist doesn't make your movie good. It actually makes it worse.
Because you're acknowledging that the movie doesn't and shouldn't exist.
Exactly. It's like, then why are we here? They literally put down a pamphlet, and they're like, questions we should be asking while making The Matrix 4. But it's a video game in the movie. And to me, a movie that did something like this really well, one of my favorite movies is Birdman. I'm not sure if you've watched
Love it.
Great movie. And Michael Keaton's back doing all the superhero shit. He's Batman again, so I don't know how much he learned from his character in Birdman. But Birdman works because Birdman isn't Batman 4. You know? Or Batman 5, whatever. Even though Michael Keaton did Batman, whatever. It's not like Michael Keaton did another Batman movie, and in the Batman movie he's questioning, why am I doing Batman? Why are we all here? Because it just would ruin the immersion for me. And The Matrix, to its benefit, is like this kind of meta-y universe that they've built. But what made The Matrix cool to me was it was always taking itself pretty seriously, even though the action was out of this world, like, ridiculous. You'd laugh at the action because it's absurd. But, like, the tone of it was always pretty serious. And here, they kind of just make it a joke.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing now, like, Marvel has become like the funny blockbuster. So every other studio is like, oh, it works for Marvel. We could pull it off too.
Yeah.
And now we got funny people at the table. These interns just cracking jokes about, Matrix 4. I didn't like the first Matrix.
It's all about cat videos.
Yeah. Are we going to the post-credit scene already?
I mean, you brought them in.
There's an end credit scene in this movie. And DJ, what is the end credit scene?
They are thinking of making cat videos. Cats are the main attraction of the internet. Cats. Cut to black. End of Matrix. End of the Matrix movie. End with the post credit of the team talking about we need cats. How does that?
You didn't include the best part though.
There's something I clocked out.
They said we're gonna call it. Did you not pay attention to this part?
No, I clocked out.
They said we're gonna call it the Cat Tricks. And then
I didn't even hear that. You got.
I thought that's why you started laughing.
No, I started laughing
because of everything up to it. You missed the punchline.
Cat tricks.
The cat tricks. They said, and I went from almost, not to spoil my score, from a 2 to a 1, right there. But let's talk about other aspects of this movie. Was there anything? I feel like we're pretty much on the same wavelength.
Yeah,
we kept looking at each other the whole time.
Yeah, I'll get a little more serious, critical. For a moment. Let me hone in on the dialogue. Because the dialogue in the first Matrix movies, personally, I feel is what makes it. You get all of your exposition and your storytelling through the dialogue because you're thrown into this world with Neo, into the Matrix, and you, as well as Neo, doesn't know what the Matrix is. So a lot of your exposition and such comes from other characters telling Neo, telling us what the Matrix is, the programming, how it works. The world building is phenomenal in the originals. I think when it came out for its time, I think it's great. I think till this day, I think it's timeless. The fact that this reality isn't real. Everything is programming codes, ones and zeros. That shit is crazy. To this day, my mom still doesn't fucking understand how the movie works. There's still people who don't understand. And it's cool. It's a cool concept. And then you get this one, and they try to modernize it in a way where it's like, okay, Neo is now a game programmer, but now this is the cover up, and they just throw all of these extra expositional details at you, I guess, to catch up older audiences up to speed with what's currently happening. But you just get so lost in the mix by all the fucking talking that you just kind of clock out. And then even when you did clock out, you try to clock back in. They're just bringing up Trinity every fucking 10, 15 minutes. And then you got Trinity. They made a MILF joke.
They did.
Towards Trinity. That was one of the interns, which is actually a Smith. And now Smiths have like a user interface where now they don't look like Smith. They can look big. They can look skinny. They can look old. Okay, that's, I guess, innovative to the story. But they try to do so many new things, but they lose sight of what made the Matrix, which was the combat, the fighting, the action in the actual world. Getting Neil Patrick Harris is a random ass villain in here who's using bullet time to stop time, and he can move and shit, which was pretty cool. But
it's probably the only cool thing they do.
Yeah, it was all right, but the fight scene, for me, the fight scene is what makes those movies. And these fight scenes were god awful, terrible, especially when you have Neo 80% of the time just doing this. With his fucking
that's like the only move
force push. That's it. He's too old to be doing this shit.
I was genuinely surprised at how boring the action was here.
It was bad because in here it's cut. I love action flicks and how like fighting choreography and fight scenes are filmed in movies. I've done like a shit ton of studies on it. And what captures what they lose in here is just like these cuts, and they're cutting away from these different angles, and everything just looks slow because I guess Keanu's just slow as fuck, so you have to cut. But in the original Matrix movies, it's fluid, full frame, no cut, just quick, and I kind of want to watch the fight scene after this from the first Matrix. And when they're in the subway, the shit is beautiful, and here it's just ass. And they're just doing all these force pushes, and I'm like, where did that shit come from?
Yeah, that wasn't really in the other ones, right?
No.
From what I remember?
No. In the second one...
And it looks weird.
It looks weird as shit. In the second one, arguably for me, the best one in the whole trilogy is when he's fighting like 100 to like 300, 400 Smiths.
And he's like running around on the pole.
Running around. It's just straight combat for I think 8 whole ass minutes. Just straight doom, 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 doom. At no point do you see him go, mm. So I don't know why they do that. So you have the exposition, they lose sight of the storytelling. The acting is bare minimum bone dry. There's just Keanu is just stoic as fuck. Trinity just stoic, and then they have these twists that don't align with, that don't correlate with the originals. Where especially at the ending when she's flying, but he doesn't fly, and then you have in it as Morpheus, but it's never really explained why Morpheus isn't Morpheus. And then even more so why Morpheus isn't in the real world and it's just in the game. And why Morpheus was a Smith? Did I miss something? Did they explain that?
It was something like a simulation? It didn't really click with me.
Is Neil Patrick Harris the leader of the AIs?
Yes, from what I gathered.
And I know Smith doesn't fuck with the AIs because in the first one he tried to get Neo. And then they were like, stop getting Neo. And he rebels against them, hence why... In the second one, he's trying to change all the other Smiths into him. It was just a lot, man. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes, and there's a countable amount of action in here. And then when you do get it, it's so lackluster. It's so slow. It's sluggish. So that's why this shit was terrible for me. I was tired halfway through it, and I was like, when's this movie gonna end? Whenever you knew someone was gonna go on a monologue when someone asked a question. Neo, do you know the meaning of life? Fuck me. 5, 6, 7 minutes of them just talking and talking and talking. I clocked out. So those are I think that's really all of my thoughts. There's nothing for me to personally talk about. It's a bare minimum movie. The good things, I like the bullet time thing. I thought that was cool. The humor was just bad. They tried to influx humor into here when took the pill. And then he's drunk and he shows up in front of the Smiths. He's like, hi.
That's what we both knew.
That's when we knew what kind of movie we're getting into. The good things. Is there anything good you have to say?
No.
Damn.
I mean, it saddens me because I was actually looking forward to it.
And don't get me wrong. I was looking forward to this movie. I was telling people yo, I can't wait. I wanted to see it in theaters. I really like the Matrix trilogy. Even the third one is bad, but it's still an interesting concept and it's different. They fucked this up. I'm interested to hear from someone who enjoys the movie and I want to talk to him as always. But for me, this shit just fell flat as hell. I have nothing good really.
It just feels very pointless. I think a lot of the time when there's a fourth story, it's always the biggest challenge is why are we telling this story? You really need a good justification for it to work. It's not a movie, but I think of Halo 4, where I haven't replayed Halo 4, and from what I gather, it might be better if I play it again, but you play that game trilogy, and you're like, oh, this is wrapped up, it's got a nice little bow, we got a good prequel, Halo Reach, we don't gotta touch it. And Halo 4 comes in, it's like, oh, there's this new thing, and it's just not as good as the original thing. So then you're stuck in this limbo of, I don't want to see where this goes. And I couldn't get over that hurdle with this movie. I was just waiting for there's got to be more than we just got to wake up Trinity. There's got to be another thing we have to do on this mission, right? But there's not really.
That's the movie. It's wake up Neo, wake up Trinity.
And that's it. And not that... For a Matrix movie, I need the grandest, coolest story ever. Granted, the first one has a great story, but I just wanted at least good action. And like you said, all the action is very cutty, and when there isn't a cut, it's kind of just lame choreography. And Keanu Reeves is just pushing all the time. And there's this little force, field thing coming out of his hand, and it's just very... boring to watch.
Blocky.
The entire time.
Yeah, man.
It's some of the most boring action I've sat through in a while. And it just really surprised me because I thought you're bringing back at least one of the original directors. There's probably some sort of ideas for a really cool action set piece. And I think it's crazy that this is coming out the week after Spider-Man No Way Home. And the more I say on No Way Home, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I was going between 6 and 7. I'm probably sticking with my 7. But I do appreciate it more, especially after watching this, because, yeah, say what you want about fan service and banking on nostalgia, but it does it in a way that is unique to that movie. And it doesn't just feel like, oh, we're doing this again. It does something new with it. And this movie just constantly just inserts clip from first movie. And that's all it is. And they redo scenes from the first movie. And it's just, it feels very cheap in a way
it's definitely a cheap way out.
And every time that thing came on, like when they're in the room and he's got to take the pill, and Morpheus is showing him the 2 options, and they're playing the old footage of Neo taking the pill in the first movie, it just doesn't work for me at all. It feels very much like, why aren't I not just watching that movie? Like, why are we in this one? Why do we have to recast Morpheus? Why do we have to recast Smith? Did they just not want to come back? Does Morpheus die? I don't think Morpheus dies, does he?
I have to... I don't even know. I don't think he... Maybe. I really don't even know.
It didn't really add up to me.
But if he does die, why... I don't know.
Keanu Reeves died. He's back.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Granted, the guy that played Morpheus, like, I felt, okay, if there was a younger Morpheus, he does a good job with it. The Smith guy, nothing like Smith to me.
That's the thing. That's what I thought going into this, was that this was going to be a younger Morpheus. But that doesn't seem to be the case.
I mean, it kind of is. It's him rebooted, like the movie.
Resurrected?
I don't know. Just a very waste of time movie. And it's not even so bad, it's funny. It's just, there's so many stretches of boring in this movie.
They have a lot of callback references. You have the cat, the Deja Vu cat, which they literally named the Deja Vu cat. Mm-hmm. Which I thought was clever, because in the first 3, that's, you see it's Deja Vu, and so that's just the programming of the coding. You have the original... I forget their names, man, but in the mansion, which I was explaining to you, when Neo in Matrix Reloaded, he's fighting a whole bunch of people in the mansion with that bomb-ass music, doom, 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 that music. I listen to it sometimes. They came back. I think at least the leader did. The other, like, side fighters, I don't know if those are still the same, but they did nothing. The dude, the main leader, just comes and he's just yapping.
Does nothing else.
I hate it. And then he just leaves.
As never seen again.
What else? They referenced the bullet time thing, but it's like a joke. So I just looked at it as that's a fucking joke. You guys treating it like shit. It was
the one thing I liked in the movie, though. Like, the one scene I do like is Neil Patrick Harris explaining to him what's going on, and he puts the apple, and the bullet goes through the apple right before he stops the bullet. I thought that, like, looked cool. Mm-hmm. Only takeaway I have from this movie.
Yeah.
There's really nothing.
There's nothing else. There was that move that Neo pulled that I was like, yo. Neo's on his back.
The one off the wall?
He does the spinneroonie on his back, kicks. Who's he fighting? Smith, low-budget Smith. He's on his back, kicks low-budget Smith, boom, and then gets on the wall and then does a flying kick, boom. I was like, ooh, that's it.
Nothing else. I was just very... I don't want to be the guy that says this movie was boring, because I'm very much
an active... This movie was fucking boring.
This movie's boring. I'm an active viewer. I want to get into your story and your lore as much as I possibly can, but there's just so many conversations of nothing. Like, there's a lot of people on this planet, they talk a lot, and they say nothing. And this is that in a movie, to me.
Yeah.
Just not much progression at all of the story. Doesn't really seem like everybody necessarily wants to be there. I thought all the actors besides were fine. Was good. Everyone else was, like, stoic and, like you said, kind of just there.
Yeah.
But also, that's kind of how they acted in the first 3 movies, if I remember pretty correctly.
Yeah.
It's fitting for that.
Yeah, no.
But it's 20 years later. There's effects in this movie, like the way they film certain action scenes and the camera, like, slows down because they do a really low shutter. And I'm like, this is not 2000 anymore.
Did you peep the effects when the SWAT team when was trying to first save Neo? And they're shooting at him, and Smith, like, he finally comes to the memory, and he starts shooting at Neo. The effects when it's hitting the wall is crazy bad.
I did not notice it.
Yeah, no, I noticed.
You're talking about the barricade in front where he like peeks out and then.
Yeah, he peeks out. He goes like that, and it go, and then, like it's particle effects.
I didn't notice that.
It looks pretty bad.
The one other thing I did like about this movie, there is a lot of CGI because you need CGI for a Matrix movie. It's one of the first movies that really made CGI a big deal. But there were a good amount of practical sets. There were some I was like, why is this a CGI set? Like the Sanctuary green screen room where they're like, it looks like Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
That, I'm like, what the fuck? But there's parts where they're in the real world, like the robot Dark City and stuff, and Keanu Reeves is getting walked to like this prison cell. And I'm looking at him like, this looks like a real set. Most of the time they would just CGI all this stuff, but from what I could tell, unless it's some of the best CGI ever, it's a practical set, which I appreciate.
Okay.
It's not all CGI like that, and you incorporate elements of real cool effects.
I liked at the beginning when they're saving Yahya as a Smith, and they're like going through doors sideways and shit.
That was cool too.
I thought that was a really cool concept.
I wish they did a lot more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
incorporate it into the action. Mm-hmm. But we didn't really get any of that. I personally don't have much more to add on Matrix Resurrections, unless you do.
Oh, no, I'm good, man.
So I think we should just score it.
Yeah, please do.
I was very close to a 1. Mm-hmm. 1, I think, should be saved for just a very rare breed of bad movie. Don't give them out a lot. So I'm going to give it a 2. 2 out of 10. Really not for me. Don't want to see another Matrix movie after this. I'm sure they'll make 5 and 6. I think maybe not though. I feel like this movie's gonna bomb because HBO Max has fucked over every single release this year. We really watched it on our TV right here with the sound bar. Does the job, but it's gonna lose money at the box office. So I really don't think that anybody's gonna be able to see Matrix 5 because it's not gonna make money, especially with Spider-Man coming out.
Yeah, that's just competing with Spidey.
Spider-Man's doing just fine. So I give it a 2 out of 10. Really disappointed. Really wanted to like it. Not it for me.
I'm gonna be harsh and say how it is and tell you how I feel. I give this shit a 1. I'm giving this a 1 out of 10. I'm usually not that harsh, but this is definitely a movie that no one. If people did ask for it, which no, that I'm lying. People asked for it, I'm sure. This is a movie we didn't really need. People are always going to ask for another movie. It's up to the studio, to the people to be like, no, it should be good and stand as it is. This is definitely that movie where it should have just stood as it is. But because we got a 4th one, there's expectations to go in with it. Like, okay, there has to be a good reason why they're coming back. The story has to hit. It hits nothing. And so to give us a 4th movie that we did not need, and I watch it and I wasted my time, and it further proves my point that we didn't need it, I give this a 1.
And that's totally fair.
Yeah.
So, The Matrix Resurrections, what a time.
Yeah.
What a way to end the year. But it's Christmas time, DJ.
Christmas time.
And you know what happens at Christmas time?
What happens at Christmas time?
We get Christmas movies. We get Christmas TV shows.
Yeah. And
Marvel gave us a Christmas TV show this year.
Yes, we did.
In the form of Hawkeye. This is the 5th Marvel show.
This is going to be an interesting conversation because we're reviewing the whole series.
The whole series.
Okay.
Yeah. As a whole. We don't have to go too in-depth episode by episode, I don't think.
Yeah, no.
But we could get
general sense.
thoughts. You're the bigger Marvel fan of the two.
Of course.
Let's get real quick since this is the first Marvel show we've talked about.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts overall on the Disney Plus shows?
Overall on the Disney Plus shows, specifically with Marvel or just in general? Marvel. I think that it is a very creative and innovative way for them to incorporate Marvel lore and content and explore different Marvel avenues and branches of heroes and villains that we probably will never see on the big screen. We can see them on the smaller screen. When they first announced this, I thought it was really dope that they were doing that because I knew that was going to pave the way towards heroes like Hawkeye. Like, there's no way Hawkeye would get a whole solo movie.
Right.
But a TV show, that's a good enough amount. And something that surprised me was that they were going to introduce alongside with those heroes and villains that we can't get full-fledged movies on, like side heroes and side villains. So I think the show does a real good job of doing that. And not only that, but it's kind of a necessity for you to kind of watch these, or at least not at the moment, but later on down the future. A necessity for you to watch these in order for it to then connect to the MCU movies. Mm-hmm. It also helps with like, oh, I don't want to go see it in theaters. You can see it from home. I like that they give you that option. And especially during COVID, like a lot of people had these shows to kind of like just linger on. So I think it's great. I'm all for it. I'm all in it. And can't wait to see more.
Where do you put Hawkeye?
Hawkeye is probably second place.
Behind what?
Behind Captain America and Winter Soldier.
We have the same list then, pretty much.
Okay, so you go Captain America, Winter Soldier.
I think
say Captain America.
Falcon, Winter Soldier, but yeah.
Yeah, because they changed it. Now he's Cap. Mm-hmm. So that Hawkeye. This is where we might differ.
Probably WandaVision, then Loki. But those are two pretty interchangeable ones.
I'm going to put Loki and then WandaVision.
Okay.
I didn't really fucks with the whole storyline of Loki. It was okay, but that ending really grabbed me. I know it didn't grab you.
The last episode's much better.
Okay. Because I remember you telling me you didn't like the whole monologuing from that character. I mean, from that actor.
I didn't like Kang's personality in that specific instance. But the episode sets up so much, and I'm like, okay, this is a cool episode. I just think the 5 before it were very boring, and I didn't really care where it was going. Okay. So that's why I'd probably put it last. With WandaVision, I was genuinely curious the whole time. When I hit like episode 5 or 6 to the end, what was going to happen. Dropped the ball, in my opinion, but...
Blue balled us with Boner.
Oh, my God. I'll never forgive you for that. Maybe. They'll probably forgive themselves. They'll bring Evan Peters back. Multiverse of Madness, anything could happen now. Regardless, a lot of people put WandaVision and Loki at the top of the list, and Falcon and Winter Soldier and Hawkeye at the bottom.
Really? Okay.
We might agree as to why they're our favorites. I like these two more because the thing that the MCU movies sometimes miss for me is I want to be able to develop the world and the details that you necessarily don't have time to flesh out in the movie. So Spider-Man No Way Home, 2.5 hour movie. That thing is flying. Yeah. There's so many things going on. There's no time to see Avengers on Broadway be a thing, you know?
Right.
But that's a cool detail to me to put in a show because it's like, oh, this has an impact on the world. Like, this would totally happen.
It's a very, I think we like them for the same reason where it's like, they have humanizing moments, especially for the heroes that are like super grounded.
Exactly.
Like it's damn near just like a regular drama and not like a superhero movie or an action flick with a regular person as opposed to like, oh, I can lift shit. Right. So it has a very humanizing element to it. And so we get to see them do that, but then still be that superhero. And at least that's why I like it. And then with Falcon and Winter Soldier, it gets like really political, and you have all these beats. It even juggles like the big topic of racism and handles it very exceedingly well, in my opinion, as an African American. I thought that shit was great.
That's one of the best moments in the MCU. At the end with the plaque, like it's in the museum. I was like, damn, that is good payoff.
And he gives a great Captain America monologue, where he's basically like, I'm the new Cap. If you don't like it, deal with it. But it's in a very patriotic way. I thought it was great. And in this one, in Hawkeye, it's kind of the same thing where you get like these very down-to-earth, humanizing moments of just raw grief, you know, because he's dealing with the death of Natasha Romanoff. And then you have Kate Bishop, who's never really had like a true family because her dad passed away. And so now she's seen Clint as like her new father figure. And this shit followed, not beat for beat, but the overall theme is followed almost directly by the comics, which I really, really appreciate. A lot of people sleep on Hawkeye. Hawkeye is fucking great, and he's amazing. And I'm glad that he got this show. And now people are coming out the woodworks like, Hawkeye needs another show. You need to see season 2. He's great. He's great. He was always great. They just never gave him screen time. This man is sick. He's dope. So I as an overall thought, before we get into details of the exposition and stuff, I thought this show was amazing. And so it definitely earns a second place.
I think it's a pretty good show. For sure. I really enjoy it. I like this and Falcon Winter Soldier more than a good amount of the MCU movies. I love diving into these characters. One last part I'll talk about Falcon Winter Soldier. I love scenes where Anthony Mackie tries to go get a loan to save his sister's business, and they can't give him a loan because he was away for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter that he's a superhero. I love the little things like that. That's the kind of stuff that I understand why they're not in the movies as much, because you just don't have time.
Yeah.
But in a show where you have 6 episodes, about 45 minutes each, you could get little scenes like that, and that's what I appreciate.
Yeah.
I love getting stuff like Hawkeye where he's dealing with hearing aids. He's dealing with being a good dad,
He's dealing with trying to stay on the low as a superhero, but everyone just recognizes him for saving the world. Like when he's in the restaurant with his kids, and he's like, "Thank you for saving us," and he's like, "Okay, I didn't want this. You didn't have to." He was like, "No, thank you." Mm-hmm. We get those moments. Those are nice.
I enjoy stuff like that. I feel like it touches well on you take on this balance of you got to be an Avenger, you got to do the right thing, but you also don't want to let your family down.
Yeah.
And constantly being away from work. All that stuff I really enjoyed. And I did enjoy the show. I like the Christmas vibe. I think for someone that doesn't laugh at a lot of MCU stuff and cringes at a lot of it, I thought there were quite a few like funny moments in here that I really enjoyed. And I think a lot of that has to do with the banter between Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld.
Haley Steinfeld is amazing in this show as Kate Bishop.
So you know the comics, so I don't know Kate Bishop like that.
What would you think of her performance?
I thought it was fine.
Yeah?
Not blown away by it, but I think that's less on the performance and more like I don't always connect with the 22-year-old that's from a rich family and is kind of quirky and sometimes makes it not my ideal favorite character, but she has a couple moments, and I think she's a good actress. She's very talented. So I'm excited to see more how she interacts with other characters throughout the MCU. But what do you think?
I think she does great as Kate Bishop. She's a very she is humbled and down to earth with wanting to learn more, specifically from Hawkeye, from Clint. But she also has an ego, and we get flares of that in here where she's like hitting up Clint like, "Hey, I know you can hear me," and she's just kind of snarky. She kind of gives me Tony Stark vibes, and that's kind of who she is in the comics. So later on down the line, I can easily see her being that snarky, egotistical type of person, and like she's faced with, like, for example, like Yelena, which I'll kind of get into, but just to point out an example really quick. And she's like not phased, and she's still like being that snarky person and telling jokes. So I thought she was great. I thought Clint's performance as Hawkeye, of course, was pretty good. Not exactly how he is in the comics, but that's just the iteration that they portrayed him to be.
I liked his character a lot here.
Yeah,
I thought it worked for what the show's going for.
They definitely give him a lot more likability in this show, and I definitely fucks with that.
And I like giving him a lot of spotlight because they kind of do it with Black Widow too a bit, but she's still like a really trained super soldier, assassin type thing. Even though Hawkeye is obviously super trained, he's the most relatable of the Avengers. Yeah. We never really got that from the other ones because he was just a guy who shoots bows and arrows and is a dad, but he saves. I like how
Kate
they
says that too.
Yeah,
in the last episode, Kate was like, when I was a kid, I saw you jump off a building. All you had was a string and an arrow, and it's true. It touches on that, on how, you know, people always question, why is Hawkeye even an Avenger? All he has is a bow and arrow. But then Disney and Marvel, they flip that concept and they change it into inspiration, which I think is really cool. I don't know if that's why he was originally created, to be on the Avengers team. I don't think it is. And so for them to kind of switch the narrative like that, and for that to inspire Kate, for her to now pick up the bow and arrow and take his place, should that happen, which I think very, very well is going to happen, perhaps. I think that's great.
I love that message. It's like, hey, you don't have to be the Hulk.
Yeah, you don't have to be the Hulk.
You can be whoever you want to be.
Yeah.
That's a cool little thing.
Yeah.
I want to hear your take on the show in this regard, because I'm split on it. Part of me likes it because there's a lot of hype moments.
Yeah.
Part of me is not so sure how much I like it because I feel like it takes away from what I expected going into the show. It's called Hawkeye. It doesn't necessarily feel like Hawkeye is always a huge focus.
Yeah.
I feel like WandaVision was very focused on Wanda and Vision. Falcon Winter Soldier constantly focused on Falcon Winter Soldier. Loki's always on Loki. Hawkeye's about like 4 or 5 different people.
Yeah.
Hawkeye, you could say, is the protagonist. It's probably 50-50 with Kate Bishop. If not, she might be a little bit more of a main character. You got them introducing this Echo character. You got them going into her mom and her fiance, who's apparently a hero or something that we just Googled. You have the big guy. Like I said in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Let's not get there yet.
Okay. But what do you think on that of the screen times? I feel like very spread out among a lot of different people.
I personally would disagree. I think it's mainly on Kate. I think this is Kate's show. Mm. And I think that to be very much true because the opening scene to the Hawkeye show is Kate.
Right.
Before we even get Clint in the musical theater. So this is all a huge setup, I believe. First off, I'd like to say I thought Hawkeye was going to die by the end of this show. So that didn't happen.
I didn't think so.
Good.
They're not going to kill someone like that in a show.
Yeah.
They're going to do it in a movie.
Yeah. I don't know why, but it's just because my mentality was this is a huge setup for Kate. This is Kate's show. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised they didn't just call it Kate Bishop.
Well, Hawkeye's going to sell more streams, you know?
What do you mean?
Like, if you're looking at someone like me that's not a Marvel fan, I see Kate Bishop Marvel, yeah. I'm not going to be like, eh.
Yeah,
but if I see Hawkeye,
right.
I'm like, oh, Hawkeye's got a show. You know?
You're right. Yeah, so this is, so it definitely sets up Kate. So to answer your question, sorry, I derailed. I think this is Kate's show, and it's a huge setup. After Kate, I'd go Hawkeye. After Hawkeye, I think everyone else gets a justified amount of screen time as side characters. I don't think they get that much screen time.
I thought Echo got a lot of screen time.
Towards the end, yeah.
Even when she
we
shows
don't even
up.
get introduced to her till the 3rd episode.
Yelena gets a lot of screen time.
Well, she doesn't get introduced to the 4th episode.
5th episode, Yelena.
5th, yeah.
I think. And then, I don't know. To me, it just felt like there was a lot of different things going on, and I was so invested in that Kate and Hawkeye dynamic, whether they're together or they're separate little stories, that I felt like you could have gone maybe without introducing Echo and...
Yeah, they definitely go...
You could have took out one of them.
When they introduce Echo, they do introduce that whole side plot, because you already have Hawkeye dealing with the grief of Nat, and him dealing with the repercussions of being Ronin. Then you have this new side plot, which was kind of the main plot of Kate being at the hands of, like, this thing between her mom and her stepdad, or her mom's new boyfriend. And now she has no money or anything, so she's kind of teamed up with Hawkeye because that relates to Ronin. Then you get introduced to Echo, which is a whole new narrative on how Ronin in his past killed her dad. And then you get a new narrative because Yelena comes into the mix. And while it does seem like a lot, did that deter you? Because I thought that was great because I thought that added layers to the show.
I think the point I'm trying to make that I just realized 2 seconds ago is I just feel like this feels like it felt prioritizing everything besides Hawkeye for the future. And that kind of distracted me a bit because I was like, oh, I really like what they're doing with Jeremy Renner right now. Okay. So that was my thing. Okay. I know you gotta... Yeah, I'll take it over for a second.
Go ahead, take over.
I think the action is pretty good in this show. So the Disney shows, I'm including Mandalorian, I'm including all the Marvel shows, kind of have this formula now of you get like a singular episode and there's a story that progresses a little bit, and then there's usually at least one action set piece in it. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier has still the best ones, but Hawkeye might have the best one of an MCU show so far with the car chase.
Yeah, that car chase was dope.
Awesome.
That car chase was dope.
Starts with the one take, and it's like kind of revolving around. You see the shooting.
That whole sequence actually starts from when they're locked up in the warehouse. And then you have a whole fight sequence where he loses his hearing aid, and so, which is accurate to the comics. He has a hearing aid. He gets that shit knocked out and broken. And I like that they have like this communicational barrier because he can't understand her, and that was cool. And so then the sequence carries on into the car chase, which is like damn near one shot for a good minute or a minute and a half. And then they end up on the bridge, and then he uses a fucking Hank Pym arrow, which was sick.
It was awesome.
And then they get onto the train, and then it concludes with them like escaping on the train. So that whole chunk of sequence, that was the third episode. Third episode. That shit was fire. That might be. Was that my favorite scene of the whole series?
It's probably mine.
It's probably yours?
Yeah.
Let me see. No, Yelena.
Is your favorite scene the reveal of
All right, yeah. Let me hop.
Let's talk about it.
Right.
I'll let you take the reins because, like I said, I have not seen the Netflix Daredevil series in full.
I'm not gonna say anything about any other reviews we've done in the past, but we did see a movie in our last episode with a certain something or someone popping up. The episode before the movie came out, when you go back and see that episode, someone was announced in this show. Now, obviously, you're here, so you know who it was. And it was fucking Kingpin. Mm-hmm. Now, I go into the show. The first episode, we didn't watch it together.
Right.
You were not here. I watched it with Adam. And the first episode, and actually before the show even came out, and I called it. I was like, if Daredevil or no one from the Daredevil universe shows up in this show, Daredevil will for sure show up in She-Hulk. And so we watched the first episode, and I'm like, okay, the tracksuits, and it's like this gang-related thing, and they're going on Ronin on how he killed gang-related members and things like that. So I was like, they might introduce Kingpin. And I'm looking at Adam, and then by the end of the first episode, or I think maybe it was even the second episode, I'm like, that woman might be Vanessa. And now it's a long shot. And then they started throwing more and more hints. A big guy, someone at the top. And I'm like, this is fucking Kingpin. This has to be Kingpin. And then we get the last episode. That's the big guy I was worrying about. Kingpin. Yo, I fucking lost it. That shit was dope. But that shit was dope.
It's not just a Kingpin. It's Vincent motherfucking D'Onofrio.
Vincent D'Onofrio is back as Kingpin. Now, the last episode we watched.
He's not dead.
Is he dead?
He's not dead. They already pulled an Evan Peters out.
Kingpin is strong as shit. Nigga got hit with a fucking car and said, shit's annoying.
Yeah.
Fucking wipe that shit off. But he ain't God, and a bullet is a bullet.
They didn't show the death.
I hope he's not dead.
He's not dead.
Think he might be dead.
They're not bringing back Charlie Cox and not putting him in a scene with Vincent D'Onofrio. So I think we might have talked about this a little bit last episode too. Do you think it's the same from the Marvel Netflix series, or they're just recasting and making a whole new version?
think it's gonna. I really want for that history, like when they see each other, like Matt, and like they know and everything. But I really feel like they might pull, like they haven't seen each other, they haven't interacted yet. So it's the same actors, but a rebooted storyline to accommodate for the PG-13 of the MCU.
Right.
Because the Daredevil is rated R.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Like hard. I hope they don't do that. Kevin Feige has talked about making rated R Deadpool and rated R future projects. So I'm hoping that they experiment. I think if there's anywhere to experiment, it would be on Disney Plus before putting it on the big screen. So hopefully that's the case. But honestly, I'm fine with either one because they know their fan base. They've catered to the fans before, and I don't think they'll fuck it up. Unlike Boner, they really fucking
that was the biggest letdown I've ever had.
And that's why I'm kind of concerned that Kingpin might be dead because they might do. This nigga might be dead.
He's not dead. He can't be.
I hope not.
Either way, hype reveal. But like I said, I just felt like that was the only thing. It wasn't necessarily like a big problem with the show for me, but I felt like the show itself felt like it was just a filler to set up so many other things that sometimes I was like, I just want more Jeremy Renner. I want some more Kate Bishop. I want some more just them. Maybe just put Echo. Maybe just put Yelena. Maybe just put Kingpin. Maybe not shove them all in one thing.
This is totally separate from the point that we're on, but I just want to say this because I will forget. I really commend Marvel. How do I say this? Like I really like that Marvel is putting in like different concepts of inclusiveness in their shows without really shoving it in our face. I think we talked about Eternals, about them kind of doing that. But for these shows, it's like really like Falcon and Winter Soldier it hit up the racist topics. This one it hit on sign language, like deaf culture. And then we have other shows which I'm not gonna say, but we have other shows that I know they're gonna touch on those. But yeah, they have like Echo is deaf, and Clint Barton can kind of do sign language, and he's signing to his sons, and it's not in your face, and they're not going into like what it's like to be deaf. We do get some glimpses of Echo as a child and what like she has to go through and stuff, and it actually plays an integral part into her character development, and I think it's cool. So I just wanted to say that, and I do appreciate that.
Going off that point, I will say, even though the chase scene was awesome, but actually that same episode, my favorite scene of the show might be where Clint's son calls him. And he can't understand it. And Kate is writing on the pin.
That is my favorite scene.
That was a very well done scene.
Thank you for pointing that out. That is my favorite scene.
Yeah.
That almost brought a tear to my eye.
Right?
Because he's trying so hard to talk to his son, and she's like translating. Yeah, that was a good. Whoever wrote that was good. Mm-hmm. That was good.
It's just a very accessible show. Like, I was watching it when I was back home for Thanksgiving, and my dad walked in the room, and he was like, "Oh, maybe I'll watch a little bit of this with you guys." He's watching it. He's like, "Oh, this is like a good show." You know, my dad hasn't watched like any MCU stuff besides the first Iron Man, and he was like, "Oh, like how many other things do I have to watch to get everything?" I was like, "Yeah, you're not gonna do that. I'm not gonna send you a list of 30 things to catch up on." But it's a very I like when Marvel just brings it down. My biggest problem with Marvel, which we've talked about before, is I feel like there's so many times where they feel like they're prioritizing just setting up the big thing, that in the moment, I don't like the little thing. That was my problem with Loki. The last episode sets up a huge thing. And it's a very cool, like, 45-minute sequence borderline. But the 5 episodes leading up to the big thing to lead up to the big thing, I didn't care. I was like, I'm not into this. Not for me. And granted, when you get the Infinity War, it's worth it most of the time. They tend to really hit when they need to hit.
Oh my god!
Big alarm.
Shit out of me.
When they need to hit like that, they hit. They hit a home run. You just have to wait 5 or 6 years for those projects usually, which is why sometimes I'm like, man, I don't like the little thing. But I like a show like Hawkeye and Falcon Winter Soldier where they take the time to really develop the characters that, like you said, don't get time to develop in the movies. No one cares about Falcon and Winter Soldier in the movies. They're the D-tier list of heroes. You watch their show, they move up in your ranking.
Yep.
They get more shit to do. One of them is Captain America now. He's a front-face Avenger.
People were shitting on Hawkeye. Jeremy Renner didn't want to play Hawkeye after the first Avengers. I told you that, right? Or did you know about that?
Well, I remember that because, first of all, they brainwashed him. He was a villain for the first half.
Yeah. He fucking hated it, and he was like, I don't want to come back. Kill me off. Kill me off. And then Joss Whedon was like, how about we give your character some texture, some meat. So that's why in Age of Ultron he has a family and everything, because they wrote that in for him to have a family. And when Age of Ultron and that first one came out, people were shitting on Hawkeye. So they tried every iteration. They're like, all right, let's bring in the Ronin arc, which is where he starts killing people. And I don't think until Ronin. I think after Ronin, people were like, okay, he's kind of cool. But no one fucked with them in this bow and arrow. I guarantee you, after this show, everyone's like, yo, we need a Hawkeye movie. We need to see more Hawkeye, which is crazy. So that's why these shows work. It's like you give time to these characters and to these stories, and that shit works, man. And I'm glad people are gonna see that he is great.
I'm glad Star Wars is taking note of it too, because the thing that pissed me off with Star Wars was they made a Rogue One movie and a Solo movie when they clearly should have been shows. But now you just have 2 random movies. You could have just kept the episodes.
Solo.
You know? Solo for a Solo spinoff. That's for another time.
Another podcast.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about specific about Hawkeye? Or do you think we kind of touched most of the bases?
Wow, our first show review. Just running through all the episodes. The acting. I thought the acting was great. I thought the soundtrack and the music was great. Foley work was really great, especially for the scenes when they go deaf. I thought the choreography was phenomenal.
Choreography was pretty good.
Thought it was great,
especially after watching Matrix. It's very good.
Yeah, 10 times, 10 times fold. We didn't even touch on, which we'll touch on really quickly. Yelena coming in after the end credits of Black Widow.
I do have more to say on this show.
There's a lot. There's a lot to unfold. It's just unfortunate that I'm working as I'm doing it, but there is a lot to unfold. So he might be doing most of the talking.
I'll take over for a second.
Say your thoughts on Yelena. Let me see if I can do this case before you finish.
Florence Pugh is one of the most talented actresses working today. Midsummer performance, unbelievable. One of the best actress performances of the century so far, in my opinion. Not completely her choice. I'm going to be under the impression of that she has this Russian accent. It might just be the worst accent ever put to screen.
Really?
You
and Adam were saying that.
Stand it. It is so bad. I must make mac and cheese. You don't like hot sauce and mac and cheese, Kate Bishop? Why not put hot sauce and mac and cheese? It's very yummy. I must kill Hawkeye. And I will go to the bar after and have a drink with you. My name's Yelena. I have the worst accent of all time. I can't stand it. Mm-hmm. What do you think of her?
It has moments, but it doesn't take me out of it. Because it's the same accent that she used in Black Widow.
I didn't like it in Black Widow either, though.
I just kind of adjusted to it.
I can't.
So, because...
It's like Leto in House of Gucci for me. I can't let it go.
No, well, I didn't have an issue with Jared Leto's.
I know.
I'm not really strict on accents unless there's no consistency. Like, if you have someone doing a British accent, and they're like, I want water, and then there's another scene where they're like, yeah, no, go grab the water. Like, if it's inconsistent, I'm like, hold on, that's kind of fucking up.
I agree. But what if the accent's consistently terrible? It's the one thing in movies that will always take me out. If you have a bad accent, I can't do it.
I can get past it. I can get past the bad accent. This one, it didn't really take me out. I didn't think it was that bad. Black Widow, I got used to it. I can't understand where you're coming from, and it's not all that. But it doesn't take me out.
Maybe I just don't like Russians. Kidding to our Russian audience.
Yeah, man. Were you trying to have us killed or something?
What's hello in Russia? Putin?
We gotta listen.
I would give Hawkeye a 6 out of 10.
He jumped straight to the score.
Good show. You didn't hear us talking anything about Putin or Russia. It's a good show.
You're gonna have a hit on us now.
Not a great show. I still think Falcon and Winter Soldier is a better show. I think a lot of the elements in Falcon and Winter Soldier work a lot better. I love just a lot in that show. The best of the Marvel shows, in my opinion, is still that. Hawkeye's second best. Good show. Good time. To me, a good Marvel time is always going to be in that 6 or 7 range. There's very few times it gets to the 9, 8 range. And there's a few times where it'll go to like the 5 or 4 range. But for the most part, if I had a good time with a Marvel project, it's in the 6 or 7 range. Spider-Man I put at 7 just because of how they pulled that off. This I put at 6. It's a good little Christmas time show. Go enjoy it. Have a fun time. But DJ, what would you give it?
The musical.
The musical after credits scene.
I don't like musicals.
He hates them.
Yeah, I truly don't. Truly don't like them. And that post credit, I'm like, what is it? And we get the musical, and I'm thinking someone's sitting in the audience that's watching it. Maybe it's Daredevil, and he's just like, with Foggy Nelson, my own. No, it's the musical. The whole thing. Which, for a lot of people, that's very heartwarming. They say, Happy Holidays from Marvel Studios.
We never got that before.
It's sweet. That's sweet. I could have went back to my room. I could have done without it.
Was it like a 5-minute sequence?
Oh, yeah, man. I could have done without that. But good on them for doing that. I think that's great.
They trolled us for once.
No, I don't think it's a troll. I think it's very,
heartfelt.
Yeah, I think, going into the holidays, Christmas is right around the corner. It's coming on this Saturday, and I think it's great. Was it for me? Hell, fuck no. But, it is
DJ was so upset
Yeah. I don't fucks with. I
couldn't stand it.
I can't. There's only one person I watch music.
We were going to talk West Side Story, and I could see the despair in DJ's eyes.
Yeah, I was not looking forward to that.
Tick, tick, boom. Same thing. I saw the despair. He was like, I need to find something. I was like, you know what?
If I can opt out of them, I would 100% take it.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that.
Of course.
But yeah, no. So the show, I think, is really great. I think I pretty much touched up on everything. If there's something we left out, leave in the comments below.
Another plug to comment.
Of course.
Talk to us.
We'll bring them up. We want to read your comments. So if there's something we missed, let us know. Especially me. I love to talk about it. So I'm gonna give this. You gave it a 6. I'm gonna give this an 8.
It's a great score.
I'm gonna give it an 8. It's not a 9. I'm gonna give it an 8. I think it's a great show. I would rewatch the show. I plan on rewatching the show.
Maybe around Christmas time.
Probably. I plan
next
on
Christmas?
a Christian, NASA Christian, who was here yesterday balling up. He only watched the first episode, but he doesn't have people to watch. He doesn't have Disney Plus, so he kind of just goes to people's places. I would easily be like, "Yo, come over, let's binge the whole show." This is definitely, I'll grab people. Hey, let's watch this. I think it's really cool. I think it's funny. I think it's perfect for the holidays. Great. 8 out of 10.
Awesome. So, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Kwanzaa again.
Kwanzaa.
Big holiday.
Yes. Of course.
Whoever you're celebrating with this week, show them some love.
Show them love. Give them a gift.
Give them a link to the Film Bros podcast as a gift.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Won't cost you a thing.
Yep.
And you give them so much value.
Yeah.
DJ's mom listens.
Yeah. Hello, Mom.
I don't know if my family listens.
Damn.
I know my sister does. She subscribed the other day.
That's good.
So thanks, man. She was on the podcast. She's the only person that was on the podcast for like 3 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
She FaceTimed in that one time.
Hi.
Talk shit about Uncle Gino.
Damn.
Don't not see Uncle Gino at this Christmas.
Okay.
Because he's ex-Uncle Gino for the first Christmas.
Okay.
So Gino, whatever you're doing, happy holidays. Go fuck yourself.
Still don't know why he hates him so much.
DJ, where could the people find you?
You can find me at D-Shots on YouTube. Content coming next year. Not by the end of the month. Next year. Content. Comedies, dramas, action, maybe. And Instagram is D'Angelo Rucker. D'Angelo Rucker. No space. Facebook is that same thing. Space between the first and last name. An apostrophe between the D and the A in my first name.
You can follow me at Chase Azarian on Instagram. Chill with Chase on Letterboxd. And, we're going to see you in 2022. We got big plans.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, you made the joke again. We could leave that one in 2021.
Oh, no, that's big fan. It rhymed. Don't hit the play. Hit the game.
Same thing.
Bars.
We're thinking podcast episodes will be coming on... You know what? I'm not going to say it. We're going to figure it out.
Let's see.
We got new ideas brewed for 2022. 2021 was like our demo, our experiment. 2022, we're bringing the fucking heat, okay? So stay tuned. Like we said earlier, if you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it out on the podcast.
On the podcast.
So get your name out there.
Come on.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's that time to close out.
I think that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything you guys want to say? Hold on, give him a second.
Oh, yeah. Manny, the answer?
Justin?
Vanessa?
Christina?
Oh, my God.
No.
Dude, Justin's having a seizure.
Justin.
Oh, my fucking
Justin!
Wait.
You gonna cut the camera?
You gotta cut.
You gotta cut the
It's the dumbest bit we've ever done.